Woo, child. It's your girl Samantha with Black Nation News, and boy, do I have some tea to spill with you guys. So apparently, Gary Owen, he's a comedian, a white comedian who was married to an African American woman. They're actually still married, but they're going through this tumultuous divorce. Seems like Gary has been stepping out a lot. So the first thing I want to say is this directly shows that even though you might be, deciding to swirl or divest from black males, which I totally support that. But just want to say, like, you need to do it from a place of wholeness and do not sit here thinking that white males or any other race of males who are not black are going to be perfect. Don't have this fairy tale, because there's no such thing, that if you leave black males behind, that your life is going to be cookies and candy and ice cream. So apparently Kenya Duke is dealing with going after Gary Owen and his alleged mistress, because apparently he's been spending all this money with Kenya Duke, who is apparently a baby mama. So based on what his estranged wife has been saying, and her name is let me find her name. Hold on. Oh yeah, Kenya Duke. Sorry, I thought that was a mistress. So her name's Kenya Duke. That's Gary Owen's wife, and estranged wife. And so she has been putting him on notice and the mistress on notice, because they've been going on vacations on her and his dime with family money. This woman, what is her name? Brianna Johnson has been going on vacations with Gary Owens, and in the meantime, he also has not been seeing his children, allegedly, or financially supporting his estranged wife. And I guess that would include his kids as well, allegedly. So, I saw this story. I'm like, OMG. So, here, Duke says that Gary Owen didn't care that Brianna Johnson didn't care that Gary Owen was married, and she doesn't care that he still hasn't seen his kids. And then he also doesn't support his wife financially. She doesn't care about that. And ladies, let me just tell you right now, what goes around comes around. The way you got your man is the way he's going to leave you. Karma's a bitch. I could say all those cliche terms because they're very true. So, Brianna Johnson is going to get what's coming to her, and I think she's probably just trying to enjoy and live in the moment, because she knows that this probably isn't going to last. He's a celebrity, and she's probably just taking him to the bank, like just enjoying as much as she can. I wouldn't be surprised, because she's already a baby mama, if she gets pregnant, just to make sure she secures a bag out of what she's going through with him, or while she's having this relationship that might be short-lived. But let me go ahead and keep reading. So she said, do you enjoy the Bahamas and Florida, spending our money? You can have him, but the money, nope. And that's in all caps, ladies and gentlemen. She said, lawyer up. You have now become a big part of this divorce. Girl, can't wait to see that tan in court. By the way, your friends don't like you. They're out here spilling all your cheating tea. And Gary, the escorts are spilling yours. Ouch. When that's our escorts, I'm like, let me find out Gary is out here just stepping out like a straight up dog. Because, when you look at the pictures, that's why pictures can be such lies, guys. I know a lot of people be on social media, and they have done studies that social media makes people feel depressed. It makes people who spend a lot of time on social media, they usually end up they're kind of feeling worse about their lives than people who don't. And a lot of times it's because you're sitting here, having that FOMO, fear of missing out, thinking other people are living their best lives while your life sucks. And majority of the times, I'm sorry to tell you guys, they just aren't. That's why I'm not on social media putting all my business on blast, because I don't like to live a fake life. You know what I'm saying? So I don't like to pretend we're so perfect. Look at all this great stuff we're doing. I put the truth. I put the the negative, the good, the bad, the ugly. But honestly, lately, I just haven't really been on sharing like that on social media at all, because I I guess with COVID, like that's when I kind of stepped away from social media. It just made me really want to reflect inward and look at my life and just really focus on my children because I didn't know what was going on with this virus. So I just wanted to reflect on what was going on in my life and just kind of get a hold of control of my life because I couldn't control the virus. So I just started working a lot, making sure my children were safe, making sure we had food and supplies in the house. And that was where my focus was. I really didn't have time for the petty BS that happens on social media. I mean, I really don't usually have time for it anyway, but especially during a pandemic, I just was not there I wasn't here for it. So here we're going to keep going. They said, Gary Owen, I don't care about any of these paid relationships. She continued. Although I would care because that's money still coming out of the family with him being a hoe. Like, you know what? There's so many wrongs to that because it's like you can be getting women pregnant while you're sleeping around these. So I would be definitely concerned about my husband if he was spending money on escorts for so many reasons. One, because he could have babies. Like Mel, see, this is kind of rolling into the story with Nick Cannon. This is what, I don't know if people just don't talk about this in the black community, but I think it's like a societal issue overall because we live in a patriarchal society. People are constantly acting like men can't just run around and have like a kid per day. You know, if not more kids in one day. Like he could sleep with like 5 or 6 women in one day every day and just have all these fucking babies in 1 year. Do the math, people. Like even if he just said, okay, even if he just screwed like 1 woman a day and let his stuff go into her once, throughout the day, each day, that's 365 pregnancies. I've realized this because I just watched another video. They were talking about Nick Cannon, which I'll get on that in a minute because he's a hot mess. But I was, when I was a teenager, I already understood that boys can get girls pregnant a lot faster. Like they can basically create a lot of children in a short period of time compared to a woman or a girl who's had a period, because girls or women who are able to procreate. And the reason I'm going back that far is because I grew up in a household where it was my sister and me and my brother. And my brother's life was very much a double standard compared to my sister and me. Like my sister's life was probably the strictest because she was the oldest. And like parents do, over time they do get a little bit more lenient with certain rules and stuff because they, the first child, you're kind of freaking out. You don't know what you're doing. I totally get that. That's fine. You're trying to do the best you can as a parent. You love your baby and your child, and you're just trying to do the best you can. And even as they get older, they're still the first. So everything's a first for you as a parent with that oldest child because you guys are kind of learning together. But, of course, because you have that first child, once they've already hit an age and went through whatever they went through, when you get the second child, the third child, 4th or 5th, in my case, you're going to just be more lenient about things because you're like, we've already been here. We've already dealt with the potty training. We've already dealt with the temper tantrums. Whatever they're doing is like a bit old news because you've already went through. So you're not going to be as strict or as pressed about it because they'll grow out of it. It's just a phase. Not to say that you just let them run loose because that ain't happening over my house, but in no way, shape, or form. Y'all will probably learn over time because I definitely will be going to be talking about this more through my channel about how to raise black boys into successful black men. And, I'm just going to get into that later down the line. I'm not even going to talk much about that right now. But as far as my upbringing, my parents, definitely they're boomers, black boomers. They definitely had their favorites. My dad, his favorites was me, basically, and then my sister. It was the girls. And then with my mom, her favorite was my brother. So that was wrong right there. I don't believe that parents should have favorites. I don't think that we should, even if you have your favorite, keep that shit a secret. No one cares. I think it's very much a detriment to your child and your children if they know, the parents prefer one child or the other, or likes one child or loves one child. I don't play them type of games in my house. I don't have time for it. Every kid has their pros and cons. They have their flaws. They have their strengths, they have their weaknesses. You just work with them depending on, you got to be a different parent to each child, period. You know, I don't believe in I try to treat them all the same as much as possible, but you can't just like do that 100% of the time, because some children need an extra kick in the butt, and not for real, not literally, but you know, they need an extra push that some kid, the other child, may not need that. They may be more self-driven and getting things done, doing their schoolwork, whatever, without you having to be on their behind all the time. So, you know, in that case, like, the reason I'm going back is because my parents, like, did not do that. They definitely spoiled their favorites, quote unquote, their favorite children. And overall, like, my brother kind of grew up, I actually say, like, when I left for the military, he was the youngest. I feel like he just kind of raised himself at that point. Like, once my sister and I were gone, my parents are older, he was the last kid. I feel like they were just kind of like, you know, like, whatever, we're basically done. They kind of like just threw in the towel, and they were done raising kids at that point, even though he was still in the house. So, and the reality is, they never really raised him to begin with. And I feel like my sister and I were like basically raising him. So when we left, they used to actually call us, like, can you talk to your brother? He's doing such and such in school. Can you talk to your brother? He's acting up with this, you know, he's having weed, or he got locked up, like picked up and brought home by the police. He was just getting into a lot of trouble. And this issue starts at a very young age, because you have to mold your child from like birth to know what type of family you are in, your expectations as a parent that you have for your child. These are things you have to start like immediately time they come out your stomach. And a lot of parents nowadays, especially, or even back then, I don't know, they're having lazy parenting, you know. And I think it's been happening for a long time, but with social media, we're more aware of things now. But you know, it's, you know, kids, boys will be boys, like that kind of sentiment where boys can just run about and do whatever. I don't raise my kids like that. Like, time I give birth to them, we automatically start molding them, because I read something somewhere that said that babies should be aligned with your schedule, not the other way around. And to me, that's kind of like common sense. Like, I know it sounds harsh, and you're like, oh, it's a baby, they should get to cry and do what they want, eat on demand, do what they want. But that's not realistic. You know, we live in a capitalistic, you know, greedy society. We have to pay the bills. We have to work. That means we have to work, right? Because money doesn't grow on trees. It's not going to fall out the sky. And, you know, so when I had my first son, I was actually in the military still. So I couldn't play those games and set him up for failure. I couldn't make him think that the world was going to revolve around him, because it's definitely not a black boy, not any child, you know, just straight up, but especially not a black boy. So I had him, I had to make him a disciplined child, where he knew when to wake up, he knew when to go to sleep, you know, he ate at certain times, he knew when to expect his bottle. You know, just little simple things like that. It wasn't like all this crazy, like, I'm yelling at you and I'm hitting you. We weren't doing all that. But we were definitely already starting a little schedule for him when he was like a newborn, because he had to go to daycare when he was like 2 months old, because I had to go back to work. So, you know, that continued throughout his life. He continued to be, and his brothers as well. I don't play favorites. I just don't. I hate that. You gave birth to these children, they didn't ask to be here. I absolutely hate when parents do that. I hate it. I can't even explain how much I hate it, but I hate it. And the fact that I had to live with it makes it even worse. And that's why I hate it that much more, because I actually firsthand dealt with it. But, you know, throughout his lifetime, and his brothers, as they came along as well, everybody was trained the same way. You know, like people say, you ever heard of people saying like, he don't got no home training, or that child doesn't have any home training? That's what they mean. Like, you basically let your child run rampant around the damn house, and then when they leave the house, they continue that behavior, because what else should they be doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, what else? They don't know any better. They're only going to know what their parents taught them. And let's be honest, like, most children, whatever they go through in life, they think that's normal, you know, until they become adults probably. But they think that they only know what's going on in their household. They don't really know what's going on in other people's homes. Even today, even when you're an adult, you don't know what's going on in other people. You got a serial killer next door to you. You don't even know it. You got some guy next door living in your neighborhood who's got 3 girls, 3 ladies in the basement hiding. You know, he's hiding them in the basement for like 10 years. And the neighbors don't even know it. So, especially as a child, you definitely don't know what other people are doing in their home. So you think whatever is going on in your house, that's normal. So if your parents let you stand on the table and jump off the table and eat cookies for dinner and do all this dumb shit, you think that's normal. And so you're going to leave out of the house and continue that behavior because that's all you know. And so these things for me was common sense. I learned a lot from my childhood and I took that into my adulthood. When I became a parent, I still talked to my parents. I still had asked them for advice, and I still pulled from my childhood things that I felt worked for me to become who I am as a woman today, as a black woman today. And then things that I felt like were not conducive to my childhood or my brother or my sister's childhood that made them into the adults they became later. I left that on the table. Like I left that out of my parenting. So I still I basically, for the most part, discipline like my parents do. I won't allow certain things that my parents didn't allow, but that favoritism stuff, it's not no place in my home. The double standard stuff, no place in my home. And my sister has 2 boys and a girl. We talked about this when our children were babies, that this was not how we were going to raise our kids, because neither one of us obviously didn't like the double standards. We were raised very strict. We weren't allowed to date. My dad didn't want to see no guy, no boy come to the house. I had one time I had to sit in my living room with my boyfriend while my parents and his parents met. It was the most awkward, weird thing ever. But that's the stuff I had to go to as a daughter, as a girl. My brother, yeah, right. I couldn't even go in my room with the door open. My brother was in the room with a girl, door closed, with my mom in the house. She wasn't coming down looking at him every 2 minutes like she was doing with me. So he got to be outside later than us. He didn't have the same chores we had. Like as he got older, it was just, oh, he's too young to do these chores, and it just came to the point where he never did the chores. So we were the only ones, my sister and I were the only ones doing the dishes. I think we were the only ones to really ever clean the bathroom. We just basically grew up to be more responsible because of this double standard behavior. And this is why I'm going to talk about this more on my channel. As I continue my videos, this is always going to probably play a role of me explaining how you should be raising black boys into black men. And it always wraps up into these videos somehow because I focus on Black Nation News. So a lot of times, if it's some black male degeneracy going on, you're going to hear me give my commentary on what should have been happening in home, probably from childhood, to avoid the behavior that's occurring in adulthood. So the reason I'm talking about this with Gary Owens is because it just kind of made me fall into that, because it's like I get so tired of people acting like males can just sleep around and men will be men. It's like a known thing. Men are going to cheat. It's just like an accepted thing in our society and in this world. And I think it's disgusting. And so, the moral of the story of my own experience as a child growing up with the double standards, my brother ended up getting a girl pregnant while he was still in high school. He was doing weed, smoking weed with friends. He would come home and cop cars. My sister and I never dealt with any of that. He was in jail for a bit. My mom actually told him to keep him in there because she was going to try to scare him into being a better behaved child. But the thing that's a real problem is that my parents waited too late to try to start enforcing rules on my brother. They coddled him. My dad was actually too hard on my brother. So that's something else I noticed. You can't be just always yelling at your child, always hitting your child upside the head, just yelling. You can't do that. You can't be that parent. It's not going to benefit anybody. My dad and my brother, once my brother became an adult, they really didn't have a relationship. They still don't. They really don't talk. My brother is definitely a mama's boy. He's up under my mom, which is actually a problem. So it's like one parent was too lenient, too much coddling. The other parent was too cold, too much anger, too much discipline. So you got to find that place in the middle. So my brother, like I said, he basically got a girl pregnant in high school because he basically was when he became 16, my dad actually gave him condoms. So it goes from my sister and I can't date at all. How unrealistic is that? So my brother can have condoms and be in a room with the door closed. I have to be downstairs in the living room so my mom can pretend she's getting food 50 times to like keep an eyeball on us. Like, what the heck, And so those types of behaviors over years, almost 2 decades, it's like 15 years or whatever, it turns into, me being not getting pregnant in high school. My sister did not get pregnant in high school. We both were graduated with honors. My brother got a girl pregnant in high school. He dropped out of high school. He moved in with me after I got out of the military. He was being a bum. I think he was homeless. Yeah, he was homeless. And so my mom called me like she always does and was like, can you please take your brother in because your dad's not letting him move in with him. And so then that's my dad's quote unquote, I guess, tough love. And so my brother moved in with me and I made his ass go back to school. He ended up getting his diploma because he didn't have a choice. My sister, because he moved in with me, then he moved in with my sister, our older sister who lived down the street, because he was doing, he didn't want to pay rent. So there you go, Mr. I'm not responsible, because nobody ever raised him to be responsible. Nobody ever told him you are a protector, you're a provider. You're going to be a good husband. You're going to be a good father. That's what you're going to be raised to do. That's what you're going to do. Protect, provide, good husband, good father, period. I never heard those words in my house, ever. Like, I grew up hearing all kinds of stuff. My sister and I, we heard all kinds of stuff about what our husbands want, what we need to be able to do when we grow up and we're women. Make sure you clean yourself and have good hygiene. Make sure you know how to cook. Make sure you know how to keep a house clean. Make sure you know how to raise kids. Blah, 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 blah. We got all the tips on how to be a good woman, So we grew up and we became those women. We're mothers. We were good wives. We were great moms. We were never deadbeat parents ever. We're highly involved in our children's lives. Never been apart from them. We stay employed. We stay being successful. Like I have my own property. I have like 21 and a half acres of land. My sister just bought her house with her husband. We have outstanding children. My son, he's just got his job. His first job is a lifeguard. So he's saving lives. He's making like almost as much as they're trying to get up to minimum wage for his first job. And he works a lot because they're homeschooled. So he makes a good amount of money a week, and we are investing already in his investment account. So my children are posed to become multimillionaires by the time they're in their mid-30s. Because after he finished that, he's going to start college at 18, and then he's going to be in the military as an officer, and then he's going to get out, buy properties, get into real estate, which I'm already in. So he's basically going to be joining the family business, so on and so forth. My sister, her children both work at Amazon. They're making a lot of money. I think the first one does not want to go to college, which is not acceptable for both of us. So she's going to make him go to like a trade school, which is not a problem because you always need a plumber. You're always going to need an electrician. And my second nephew, he's going to go to college and most likely do what my oldest son is doing. And all my sons are going to do the same thing. The only thing that will ever stop them from following in each other's footsteps and doing the exact same things is if you physically, health-wise, there's some reason, like it has to be serious, that you cannot serve in the military. And the reason why I feel like all Americans should serve in the military, because all Americans enjoy the freedoms of this country. I feel like Americans and their American children grow up way too fucking entitled. They're way too fucking entitled. There's so many children around the world who appreciate being able to go to school because it's not just free. So when your family has to pay to, basically it's like private school, like they have to work and they're poor, but they got to do what they got to do to send their kids to school. And sometimes they can't even afford to send all the kids to school. The eldest might have to drop out so they can help pay money bring money in for the family to pay the bills and send their other siblings to school. I've seen that, and that's crazy to have to make those kind of decisions. And in America, we take so many things for granted. I used to live abroad. I lived in Belgium for 2 years. So I definitely can come back to America and look at life like a lot more objectively. I was also a military brat. My parents served in the military. My aunts, uncles, everyone has served in the military. My sister, my brother, because my brother eventually had to get his shit together because my sister and I were not about to carry him. You know, it's like, if you want to coddle him, mom, he's going to be coming to live with you. My mom did not want him with her. So she basically was like, wiped her hands of him at that time. And when he, you know, was trying to be grown and realized that nobody was going to let him leech, he ended up finally having to go in the military. Of course, he ended up getting in a little bit of trouble and got out, and went on to have 3 kids by 3 different women. Deadbeat dad was trying to be a deadbeat dad to those girls, and I absolutely was not having it. So once more, I had to kick him in the butt, get him up, and make him go be a good father, because you're not doing that on my watch. And he got his shit together. So, you know, the point is, like, guys can go, their story can go so far left because of the double standards in our society. And I'm so sick of people, like, it's such fucking common sense that males can get so many women pregnant in such a short period of time. Women can only be pregnant one time in 9 months. You know how many babies can be conceived in 9 months from a male? And then if you have them in a different house, let's be real, like, fathers are not going to be there. Like, moms may have different fathers for their children, which I'm not saying, I'm not condoning it. That is my life situation for my own certain reasons that I've been through in my life, but I don't condone that. I teach my children about marriage. It's mainly because they are males, because they are men. They're going to grow up and be men. I do tell them to get married and only be with one woman and have your kids with her. Like, the marriage may not work. I'm not saying don't be dealing with abuse or whatever, her cheating on you or whatever she might be doing herself, but, you know, if she's on drugs, I don't know. But, you know, I also am going to try to walk them into how to pick a good woman, because, you know, as a woman, you can spot a hoochie a mile away, okay? So if I see something that's red flags, I'm letting my son know. You're not, no, I don't want that in our family. But, and I don't want that to be the mother of my grandkids. And, of course, he can do what he wants, but he can't say that I didn't tell him. And so that's how that's how I do with my parenting. I let my children know, like, you can make your decisions once you're an adult, but don't try to say, oh, my mama didn't tell me this, my mama didn't. Because I can literally say there's a lot of things my parents did not tell me. I talk to my kids so much about everything, like finances, just life lessons, business, entrepreneurship, like everything I learned, Black history, everything I learn, I teach them, period. That's how you have to be as a Black tribe. In African tribes, they did that. They were orally passed down traditions to each other. They had rituals to teach the next generation what they needed to know once they go into adulthood. I literally raise my sons like that playbook. Like, whatever I learned they need to know, I teach them. I tell them. They come to me, they ask me questions, they talk to me a lot more than their fathers. And that's just what it is. But, you know, I just wish that, you know, even though my situation was crazy, I didn't ask for that. Because, like Cynthia G says, like, Black males hold the power when it comes to marriage. And Black males just don't want to get married. And notice I'm calling them Black males, not Black men. There's not a lot of Black men in the Black community because of the reasons I just talked about. Black parents don't raise Black males to be Black men. Let me say it again. Black parents do not raise their Black sons/males to become Black men. They raise them to be some degenerate ass Black males for the rest of their lives. Because what you do, it starts in the home. I know people have heard of that. So what you raise your child to be doing as children, they're going to continue that shit on into adulthood. That's going to be all they know. And then once you get old enough, what do they say? You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Once they have habits, that's going to be their habits. That's what they know. People go back to their comfort zones. They're going to go back to how they've always coped with things, how they've always done things. They're going to be habitual about their bad behavior. So you've got to make sure you are instilling these great values in your child from birth. You need to teach them to be good human beings, treat people like, you know, be polite, have respect your elders, you know, be good to women. Don't be hitting on women. What the fuck are you doing? Men have muscles. You're here to protect women. You're here to provide for women. And luckily, you know, I have my older son's father. He's great. He helps instill that. in them. Like, you don't hit your mom, you don't play fight with your mom, you don't hit girls, none of that. We don't play that. We do not play that in our house. We do not. I don't care if you 4, you 5, I don't give a you 25, I don't care. You will not be putting your hands on anyone, or I'm going to put my hands on you. So my sons don't play them games because you have muscles. You're just not going to do that. You're not going to do that. You're a protector. How are you a protector if you're hitting women and you're hitting girls? No, we're not. You're not serving your purpose. By the Bible, by God, just humanity, you're not serving your purpose. And it's just, to me, it's just very simple. It's just very simple. Teach your children these values. Yes, it may be situations where they got to act out of pocket. It is what it is. When my kids have to show out, like say somebody try them, they have to show out, I back them 100% because I raised them to be a certain way. So I'm not about to be putting my kids out here to just be getting their ass beat or whatever. We ain't playing that. How you protect her if you can't fight? So we don't play that game either. But that's if there's like a black male. If it's a little girl or, a black, even when they were little boys, no. We just don't do it. Just make it where it's just not even an option. And so the reason why I got on this and I wanted to tell that quick, that story, was because I do feel like Gary Owen can get other women pregnant, a lot of women pregnant. So his wife saying she really doesn't care about the paid relationships, she's speaking from emotion. I think she's not thinking logically, because she's thinking, well, if they're paid relationships, he didn't really have any feelings for these women. But like now there's one woman, he's actually spending money on her and taking her on vacations, and it just seems like it appears that it's more serious, and so that's why she's attacking her. But I feel like she should be concerned about all the cheating he did, because not only can he get a lot of women pregnant, which he probably did, we don't even know yet, they're going to probably come out the woodworks later, or we're going to find out he's had some love children in the marriage, and then that's like money that's gone for 18 years per child. So that's the second issue. So now, first of all, you expanded the damn family all over the place. Like if you have different women pregnant, now my children have siblings that's all over the damn place that they may not grow up with or even ever know, and that's gross. I just don't even know how to explain that, but that's not cute. And then you have diseases. You have money going out of the family home now to these random women that he's had babies with. It's too many. And then you could even, like, I watch a lot of IDTV. I mean, you even have violence sometimes where the mistress may come, or the escort or whatever she is. She may be falling in love with your husband, because women be so pressed on like love and not marriage and all that because of society. But she may be falling in love with your husband and decide she's going to get you out of the way so she can be his wife. Some people can be that deranged. So I would be concerned about that. So she said, although I do think $600 for 30 minutes is too expensive, and you were tripping if I tried to order a $12 side dish when we ate out. Wow. What I do care about is you doing the right thing financially when it comes to me. And then she's saying, does Brianna know I am still paying your bills? Wait, how is she paying the bills? I thought he was the breadwinner. This is concerning. Makes me want to dig, guys. You know how I do when I hear something. It's time for me to dig in deeper. She says, how does an old dude choose a chick that doesn't care about his relationship with his kids, and she got kids? She's trifling. She's a trifling hoe. Like that just goes hand in hand. Like if you're willing to cheat with him, you're definitely not going to be sitting here trying to have morals all of a sudden and tell him to go home and see his kids, or have the kids come over. She's just being a trifling hoochie hooch. So what kind of mother can this Bree be? Brianna, I guess, is Brianna. She's on Brianna Johnson. That's her handle, I think, on Twitter or Instagram. I'm not really, like I said, I'm not really on those social media. So I think that's the Twitter handle. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. And she says, thanks for all the info in my inbox. I have enough side chicks and escorts in my inbox to last a lifetime. No more needed. Every one of these hoes that use my half of the money will be in court after I deal with Brianna Johnson. Thank you for shouting her out on Wendy's show. That will also be used in court. Who shouted her out on Wendy's show? Okay, we're digging, guys. We're going down the rabbit hole. After flirting with him, Wendy Williams and Gary Owen spotted out on a date. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Wendy. See, Wendy's a trifling hoe. I'm sorry. There's just stuff about her. I don't like, and this is really falling into this category. Like, I don't like when women don't follow the woman code. You don't do what she is doing. Let me close this out. Hold on. So it says, if you watch comedian Gary Owen sit down with Wendy Williams, you know that the television host was not shy in her brazen flirtation with Owen Gross, who is currently estranged from his wife of 17 years, Kenya Duke. Gary told her that he was still technically married, but that wasn't enough to stop Wendy, who shared that she had been checking for Owen since the two co-starred with one another in Think Like a Man back in 2012. She openly asked him out to dinner. While Owen didn't give Wendy an answer on air, apparently he was down for dinner. Yeah, because he sounds like a host. Wow. Because according to several reports by one from Radar Online, the two did make it out with one another. Sources told the outlet that Williams and Owen were spotted at the... I'm not going to start editing. Were spotted at the reopening of Scotto's restaurant in New York City. This past Thursday, the two reportedly sat together in a booth, smiling, laughing, and chatting. While his appearance on the Williams show might have resulted in a good time for Owen and Williams, it had the opposite effect on his estranged wife. After the comments he made on the show, Duke released a lengthy statement. You can see what she had to say below. Gary, while I am not impressed, I'm highly irritated. I keep telling myself I would no longer respond to any actions or untruths because I'm better than that. But the truth, I guess I am not. But the truth is, she was saying, I guess I am not. You talk about me all the time on stage and in conversation. It gets back to me. I don't care, but this mockery was too much. I am shocked you spent most of your time talking about me, the divorced son and daughter. The divorce and the son to your daughter and your son and daughter. I don't know what they talked about. Oh my goodness. Renee Marsh? Oh my god, I don't even know who that is. Okay, I'm getting lost. I'm getting lost in the gossip. Okay, so let me go back. So in the second post, Duke called out Owen for gaslighting her by denying her suspicions that he was cheating and saying she was a liar when he was allegedly stepping out on the marriage. Firsthand, I am not a liar, Duke wrote to Owen, but you would prefer to have me think I am wrong about you so you can cover up your dirt and run around town telling everyone you're a good guy. Really? You're a bold-ass narcissist, and karma is real. I know exactly how long she has been one of the women you cheated with, so save that lie. How are you going to be sleeping with someone's husband and have your prayer hands and reference to scripture on your bio on Instagram? These hoes today. No shame, no boundaries. In that post caption, Duke said the reason why she chooses to address Owen publicly is she has the right to do what she likes on her platform, and because that's how Owen has chosen to communicate with her. I agree with her. It's like if he's a celebrity, so he gets to have this big ass platform to talk shit about her, and especially when it comes to narcissists. I just got out of a relationship with one. I'm a true believer in treating narcissists the way they treat you, and boy do they hate it. So let's keep going. According to Duke, many of those questioning her posts have no idea what it's like to be in a relationship with a manipulating narcissist. You ask why I'm still paying his bills. Because when you're getting divorced, you need to maintain status quo. I did it before the divorce, and I would do it until the court tells me different. While she claims that people say, yeah, it's a bitch when you're going through the court, and it's like you still got to do certain things so that you can get custody of the kids and all that. It sucks. But let me keep going. And while she claims that people say Owen has never said anything negative about her publicly, she argued that Owen lied about her on TV to their friends and to his family. How the fuck do random people know about her life with Owen? Shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Like, get out of her fucking business. Let her do her. Like, just because you are a fan of her comedian husband does not mean she's a fan, obviously, because if she was a fan of him, they'd still be happily married. So he ain't no saint, okay? And I'm sure she has the receipts. He admits to being the best liar, like it is a badge of honor. He sounds like my ex. But anyways, you don't know the secrets I've had to keep. You don't know the day-to-day, she concluded. So if my posts make you uncomfortable, unfollow me. I will say it again. I am back and focused. I am not asking permission or apologizing for shit. It is what it is. So that's that story there. I think that was crazy. I just wanted to read that and discuss that and why I know I was shocked. So I just wanted to share with you guys because I don't know if like maybe I'm just out of the loop and maybe everyone else knows that he's been being a hoe all this time, but wow. So if I was his ex-wife or his estranged wife, I would be pissed too. And I would put his stuff out on blast as well because he's a hoe, you know. And honestly, like what I would do, you know, I don't even know if I would put out on blast. One, because she's probably going through, you know, divorce and she's got to maintain it. But I'm, you know, knowing me, I'm petty enough. Like I like to meet people, especially narcissists, where they are. So if you talk about me, I'm gonna talk about you publicly. And I would definitely like write a tell-all or something like that to get them extra coins that I'm deserving of because I've earned it, having to put out his cheating, lying ass. So yeah, that's my take on that. And you know, there's just some things I wanted to highlight about how males can just be hoes and make all these babies, and people just act like it's nothing. And this is a huge problem. And then also, and not even just have babies, but they can spread diseases. I mean, people act like AIDS is just not a thing anymore, and it surely is. And then your money coming out of your home because now you're paying for all these mistresses and their babies, and it's too much. Because let's be real, y'all, like this is another thing we don't really teach our black boys is like if you get a woman pregnant once you become an adult. I don't even want to talk about if they get somebody pregnant while they still are minors. But if you get a woman pregnant while you're still an adult, like say you get 3 women pregnant, you're honestly, let's be real, you're honestly going to most likely be taking care of the woman as well. So you're like, now you're like a polygamist. That's just what it is. You're basically taking care of this woman in the house, like that household, and your wife or whoever you're in a relationship with. So that's not cute. So yeah, guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see y'all in the next video because I have so many more stories to cover. So little time. So I'll see you guys soon. Peace.